Friends, there is no chemtrail conspiracy. Let's get that really clear. I've had to go over this so many times on the channel. What causes the moisture that comes out of the engines of an aircraft to condense in certain weather conditions? If it's very cold and very dry up there, aircraft, the moisture that comes out will condense and make a cloud. You see this with your own car when it's minus 30 outside and it's running and the air is super dry and super cold and the moisture has no space with which to inhabit. It cannot. So it immediately condenses into a cloud. Immediately. You see this all the time. You see it in your own kitchen. You're boiling water and you see it's dry enough in your kitchen sometimes that it looks like a lot of steam is coming up. You pour a bath and you see the steam is coming up. The water moisture content is in the air. I mean, this isn't rocket science, people, but here's an easy one. You know, we could go over the science of contrails a million times, again, on the channel, like we have many times. I could talk to you about how, you know, the tens of thousands of people that it would take to make a conspiracy like that happen. You know, how would they all keep it silent? And, you know, for all this time, no one can give me a coherent, unified answer as to what a chemtrail is supposed to do. Why are they doing this? What effect does it actually have? No one can ever give you it. It's always shifting the goalpost. Well, if there is tens of thousands of people in on it, somebody would have leaked by now why something like that would happen. It's not happening, friends. But here's an easy one. If these people are saying it's true, you know it's a lie because these people spout lies out of their mofo mouths all friggin' day long. Just putrid, rotten nonsense continually spilling onto the floor from their lips. If they're saying it, well, these are the people who control aircraft, control airspace, control policy, control laws, control what goes on at airports. If there was a chemtrail conspiracy, they'd be the ones doing it. Okay, let's talk about it. Joey Only Caribou Weather Dude YouTube channel. There it is. This is bad news. My God.
Falling out right now.
Anything could happen.
Get on!
Wow. I'll watch the video later.
3 more million in water.
They dry mopping this. Hit like, share, subscribe if you want to help me get by here. Joey Only. A little bit rainy at the mountains today. Just a touch damp and chilly. It's a bird. It's a complaint. It's a plane. It's a chemtrail. A new conspiracy theory finds traction at Kennedy's HHS. So RFK, now American people don't seem to grasp that the deep state you're worried about are the people who are in power right now and have billionaires backing them. That's the deep state. If this was happening, the deep state would know it. Okay, so let's go back. While plowing a wheat field in rural Washington state in 1990s, William Wallace, they'll never take our freedom, spotted a gray plane overhead that he believed was releasing chemicals to make him sick. The rancher began to suspect that all white vapor trails from aircraft might be dangerous. Well, we're putting a lot of pollution into the sky. It's bad. We're changing the climate, William Wallace. Like, it is doing something. Having our aircraft flying up there all day. Yeah, we've been trying to tell you that. And we're like, well, it's raising greenhouse gas emissions and putting them directly where we don't want them to be. You know, and William Wallace is like, no, that can't be it. It must be a giant conspiracy. He shared his concerns with reporters, acknowledging it sounded like an X-Files science fiction television show. You think? Aircraft were making contrails even back in World War II, man. As long as aircraft have been able to fly up to 18, 20,000 feet, where they start getting to that next level of the sky, the cold part, you know, they start getting into minus 30, minus 40 temperatures up there. And if you ask those World War II pilots that were flying around in aircraft that weren't heated very well, it was darn cold up there. You were at risk of getting frostbite. It's the temperature that makes the contrail. The temperature! The temperature! Yeah, the simplest thing might be the correct answer. Academics cite Wallace's story as one of the catalysts behind a fringe concept that has spread among adherents to Make America Healthy Again, or MAHA. That sounds so stupid. Fucking MAHA movement. And it's gaining traction at the highest levels of the federal government. They're just using this to sucker you along. Its treatment as a serious issue underscores that under President Trump, unscientific ideas have unusual power to take hold and shape public health policy. Just spreading lies to keep muddying the narrative, to keep making it so no one knows what's real anymore. That's the ultimate goal of these people, is to say so much bullshit that you're constantly chasing after it, and the truth is suppressed. Okay, a concept posits that airplane vapor trails, contrails, are really chemtrails containing toxic substances that poison people and the terrain. Another version alleges planes or devices are being deployed by the federal government, companies, or researchers to trigger big weather changes, such as hurricanes, or alter the Earth's climate, emitting hazardous chemicals in space. Well, it is altering the Earth's climate, having aircraft up there, much the same as it is when we're driving our vehicles around down here, much as having coal. Putting greenhouse gases into the atmosphere is bad, okay, and we're doing it, but are we trying to trigger specifically a weather change? So what is it? Is it being done to make you sick? Or is it being to poison the terrain and the people? Or is it being done to make hurricanes? This is what I'm talking about shifting goalposts. It's like there's no consensus amongst the conspiracy crowd as to what these chemtrails actually do. Several GOP lawmakers and leaders in the Trump administration remain convinced the concepts are legitimate. I don't think they know otherwise. They're using this shit. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert fucking Kennedy Jr. is planning to investigate climate and weather control. And holy cow. They're trying so hard to create this narrative that there's like these wacko left lunatics that are trying to convince you climate change is real because we want to raise taxes. It's so absurd. It's expected to create a task force that will recommend federal action. Federal action. There's already been governments in the United States that have outlawed chemtrails and outlawed weather modification. Of course, you could make a law that says that. Sure, you can make a law that says that, but is it doing anything? Because no one's changing the climate intentionally. No one's making a hurricane happen. There's no conspiracy with the weather machine. Oh boy. Rumors and conspiracy theories gain an air of legitimacy due to social media and political climate infused with falsehoods, some political scientists and researchers say. We have low access to information or low trust in our sources of information. A lot of times we turn to our peer groups, the groups we are members of and define ourselves by, says Timothy Tangerlini, a folklorist and professor of information at University of California, Berkeley. He added the government's investigation of conspiracy theories gives the impression of having some authoritative element. HHS is expected to appoint a special government employee to investigate climate and weather control. Holy fuck. Gray Delaney, former head of agency's MAHA agenda, who said he drafted the memo. You had people at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration studying climate, and you've been destroying their agencies. So it has interviewed applicants to lead a chemtrails task force. Holy cow, this is so whack. HHS does not comment on future potential policy decisions or in task force, says Emily Hilliard. The memo alleges that aerosolized heavy metals such as aluminum, barium, and strontium and other materials such as sulfuric acid precursors are sprayed in the atmosphere under the auspices of combating global warming. No one's doing that. No one's trying to combat global warming by doing any of this shit. And they know this. They have all the information. All they do is ask an expert within their own departments. They're like, no, that's crazy. Okay, thank you. But yeah, they're going to keep throwing this out there because they want you to believe that they're on your side. They want you to believe that they're fighting back against some crazy left-wing conspiracy that doesn't exist. Without providing evidence, the memo claims substances cause elevated heavy metal content in the atmosphere, soil, and waterways, and aluminum is a toxic product and linked to dementia, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, asthma-like illnesses, and other chronic illnesses. They don't want to admit that the amount of pollution that we create every day just to run our society is having these effects on people, like asthma-like illnesses. Why did I have asthma-like illnesses? Because I lived in Ontario in the 80s, of course, on a farm, so hay fever was a big part of it, but it was triggered often by the bad smog days. This bad smog days would trigger my asthma. It wouldn't matter if a plane was flying over, putting a little bit more in the atmosphere far above me, because there was plenty being created by humanity around me. From Toronto, from Michigan, from London, from Ohio, from Indiana, from Chicago, all coming right to southern Ontario. It's a pretty shocking memo. says Daniel Swain, a climate scientist. It doesn't get more tinfoil hat. They really believe toxins are being sprayed. Kennedy's previously promoted debunked chemtrail theories. In May, he was asked on Dr. Phil Primetime about chemicals being sprayed. It's done, we think, by DARPA, Kenny said. By DARPA. Referring to the Department of Defense agency that develops emergent technology for military use. So if it's being done by an agency that your government controls, if it was being done, which it's not, it would be you doing it. A lot of it's coming out of the jet fuel. The materials are being put, so you're going to burn the jet fuel at 1,000 degrees, 1,400 degrees or whatever, and somehow this stuff survives to do this evil bidding. Okay. Deploying chemtrails to poison people is one of the many baseless conspiracy theories that have found traction amongst Trump's administration. They can put troops in the cities there and haul you off to a concentration camp with masked men, and they pretend like that's not a concern for your health and wellness in America. Let's defund doctors, science, and all health initiatives. Let's defund climate, science, and weather initiatives. Make up horse shit about it to gaslight them, and then put longtime anti-vaccine activists like Kennedy into politics, who thinks that fluoride in drinking water leads to arthritis, bone fractures, and thyroid disease and cancers, even though the World Health Organization says fluoride is safe. So Delaney was ousted in August from HHS, says Kennedy has expressed strong interest in chemtrails. This is an issue that really matters to Maha, says Delaney, referring to the informal movement associated with Kennedy that is composed of people who are skeptical of evidence-based medicine. The memo alleges that suspicious weather events have been occurring and increasing awareness because of climate change, you motherfuckers, which have been acknowledged to have been caused by geoengineering activities. Scientists, meteorologists, and other branches of federal government say these assertions are largely incorrect. Some points in the memo are accurate, including concerns that commercial aircraft contribute to acid rain. Yeah. But critics say the memo builds on kernels of truth before veering into unscientific fringe theories. And it's like, well, we have, a piece of evidence right here that fossil fuels, when you burn them, it's bad. It makes acid rain. It creates heating in the atmosphere. And that's when they go, woo, let's take a hard turn here. No, what's really going on is a giant conspiracy with tens of thousands of people involved to control the weather and are putting things in the airplanes that you don't know about. And it's all being done to raise your taxes in a big conspiracy. And everyone who's a leftist and socialist is behind it. Like, this is nuts. This is nuts. You are the most ideologically insane country that I've in my time. The results are modest and highly localized there, of course, when it comes to acid rain. It's not possible to manipulate large-scale weather events either, scientists say. We've talked about that in the channel so many times. We don't have the ability, technology, or power to really meaningfully change the weather. We can have localized effects sometimes, yes. Severe flooding in the Arab Emirates in 2024 couldn't have been caused by weather manipulation because no technology could create that kind of rainfall, says Martin Ombaum, a meteorologist at the University of Reading who studies Gulf region rainfall patterns. He studies it. He says similar debunked claims emerged this year after Central Texas experienced devastating floods. They said a weather machine turned on the floods, So the Government Accountability Office concluded in 2024 that the questions remain as to the effectiveness of weather modification. So we know that weather modification is pretty much ineffective. We know that the Trump government would control these agencies that are the ones that would be behind it. Misperceptions about weather, climate control, and airplane contrails extend beyond Trump's administration. In September, a congressional House committee hearing titled Playing God with the Weather, a Disastrous Forecast involved 2 hours of debate on the once fringe idea from Marjorie Taylor Greene, who chaired the hearing. She introduced legislation to ban weather and climate control with a fine of up to $100,000 and 5 years in prison. So you're going to ban something that no one is capable of doing with the threat of prison. Some Democrats objected to the nature of the discussion because it's absurd, accused Greene of using the platform of Congress to proffer anti-science theories and to platform climate denialism. That's exactly what they're doing. And who's behind the Republican Party? The richest people on earth who own oil and gas and all these big companies that do not want things to change because their shareholders are stinking, filthy rich, keeping things the way it is. Frequently citing chemtrail, GOP lawmakers introduced legislation in about 24 states to ban weather modification or geoengineering. Florida even passed a bill to establish an online portal so residents can report alleged violations. Holy, it's like the Red Scare of the 1950s, except, there's no communists, but people are going to, just rat on their neighbor. Meanwhile, the Chemtrail conspiracy has permeated culture. The title track on singer Lana Del Rey's 7th album is entitled Chemtrails Over the Country Club. Bill Mayer dove into chemtrail myth on his podcast. This is nuts. It's just nuts. And Chemtrails, a psychological thriller, wrapped filming in July. They're making movies about it now. Social media has given wing to the chemtrail concept and other fringe ideas involving public health. They include outlandish beliefs that Anthony Fauci, who advised Trump and President Biden on the government response to COVID-19, created the AIDS pandemic. No, he helped end it, people. Oh, the stupid. Researchers say another false belief by those in the far right holds that people who receive COVID vaccines shed the virus, causing infertility in the unvaccinated. What? So I'm causing you infertility because I got vaccinated? Holy. Anyways, climate researchers say they're receiving death threats from insane people. Lee, the blogger, said he disagrees with some of the more far-fetched beliefs and is aware of the harm they cause. These people want to shoot down planes because they think they are chemtrails, he's saying. Holy cow. There's no evidence that plane contrails cause health problems or related to international efforts to control the climate. The memo and focus at HHS on climate and weather control are alarming because they perpetuate conspiracies. They are an attack on the scientific worldview, the worldview of trying to find the truth through evidence. A professor of geophysical sciences at the University of Chicago, David Keith, says, it's unmoored to reality. I expected there were documents like this, but seeing it in print is nonetheless shocking. Our government is being driven by nonsensical dreck from the dark corners of social media. Wow. Okay, that's the show. Hit like, share, subscribe. Bye now.